Okay, so let's start with question number 10. Question 10 says, again, summarize Krishna's instructions to Arjuna on Karma Kanda in verses 2.31 to 37, and how are they different from Krishna's subsequent instructions? So this is also just little long. It is one page. I'll quickly explain that. Actually, Krishna gives instructions on Karma Kanda in 2.31 to 37, where he says that. So I've given a brief introduction that fruitive activities done in accordance with the religious law books of Vedas is Karma Kanda. And then I said that Kshatriyas are allowed to challenge a tiger in the forest to be trained for religious violence. Just as a king who dies fighting another envious king achieves heavenly planets, or Brahmins attain heavenly planets by sacrificing animals in sacrificial fire. So all these verses from 2.31 to 37 talks about how you can elevate to a higher status of life. However, from verse 38 onwards, Krishna starts encouraging Arjuna to rise above the Karma Kanda level to Akarma level. So the Akarma level requires one to perform actions for sake of Krishna and therefore in transcendental consciousness, which is called Buddhi Yoga or Karma Yoga, devotional service. And for example, in verse 2.41, Krishna also says that fruitive activities related to Karma Kanda are engagement of one's reactions from past good or bad deeds. But action done in Krishna consciousness is on the absolute plane and so is no longer subject to any good or bad reaction.
1 second, Mataji.
So understand the difference between the two. One is basically karma kandi things, and the second one is how to rise above karma kanda to the akarma level.
Mataji, but the question says, now, how are these instructions different from Krishna's subsequent instructions in chapter 2?
Yeah, so what is the instruction given about karma kanda in 2.31 to 37? Krishna is explaining about how the kshatriya, he is elevated, how the brahmana is elevated. These are the different points coming. And after exactly from 2.38 onwards, Krishna starts saying that do everything for me. Then you will not get any reactions.
So that is why he gets confused and he says that, nah, that you told me to work in renunciation or work in devotion, which is better. Then he asks that question and he's confused by the end of the chapter.
Exactly. Yeah. He's saying that do your duty and then you're saying that work for me. So he's confused.
Yeah, which one is better? Yeah. That is renunciation from work and work in devotion, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so that thing will come here. I'll just write that, renunciation from work and work in devotion. Okay, Mataji, you can go ahead.
Then the next is explaining the analogy of watering the root. That is simple one actually. Just as when you water the root of a tree, it is distributed to leaves and branches. Similarly, when we act in Krishna consciousness, then the person is rendered to the highest, then he is already rendering highest service to everyone, self, family, society, country, humanity, everything. Because if Krishna is satisfied, everyone is satisfied. So you must water the root. Then question 12 is discuss the relevance of the term Satyavahana Vidyate, and again these are terms, Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. So they may not come maybe. So the same.
I think Vyavasayatmika Buddhi already explained, na?
Yeah. One who is resolute in Krishna consciousness. And Pratyavayana Vidyate means there is no diminution. So I've just written these two phrases. What do they do for me? They provide motivation and direction for all my activities and try to make them do everything in Krishna consciousness. Then question 13 is list 4 qualities of Sthita Pragya from verses 2.55 to 71 and explain how it will improve your relationship. This side just wrote 4 points. Of Sthita Pragya is one who gives up all desires arising from mental concoction. And I have written how it will help. The desire I harness for Krishna consciousness will help me become desireless. And this will cause less clashes in relationships because of conflicting desires. Then second quality of Sthita Pragya is he is very satisfied in the self and he has a purified mind and he is in pure transcendental consciousness. So I've written that such a person, it is mentioned, will automatically get all good qualities of great sages and so he will have good relationships. Third point, quality of Sthita Pragya is that he remains undisturbed even amidst threefold miseries and he's free from attachment, fear, anger, no proprietorship, devoid of false ego. So I've written it such a once we become such a fearless and courageous person, we will have stable relationships also. Fourth point is that Sita Pragya has senses are restrained from sense objects and he engages all his senses for Krishna. So he has real peace. Then I've mentioned that a person who has such a real peace will automatically not be disturbed with a relationship. Then there are four more questions.
Mataji, I have a question, please.
Yeah.
Shit Pragya means Shitadhir Muni is both same because what all points you are saying I have spoken for Shitadhir Muni. I mean there is somewhere in the
Muni,
purport.
no? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Shitadhir
they're the
Muni.
same
Who's
points actually. Although these I've taken exactly from 2.55 to 71 only. But they are because it comes in close by verses. Sita Pragya, Sitadir Muni both come in, the verses which are nearby.
so they are same now?
Yeah, they mean the same only.
Yeah, because I have studied Shitadhir Muni. I have studied the threefold mysteries, that is happiness and distress,
Ah,
and the proprietorship and fearless, and all that I've studied in Shitadhir Muni. And you gave
yes,
all the same example. So that means the meaning is synonym. They are
yes,
synonyms,
yes.
right?
True, true.
So
Sitadir Muni
because Mataji,
actually.
I may not study this chapter 2 again because what you're saying, I'll just study now. And I may read what you will send, and that's done for me. And then I'll write on my own.
Yeah, yeah. Sitadir
This is
Muni,
done.
only thing I have done different is that in that question I have mentioned that Muni is one who agitates his mind for mental speculation, but Sitadir Muni is one who is no longer engaging in mental speculation. And he is, he has already come to the conclusion that Vasudeva is everything.
Yeah, I know that. His Vasudev Sarvam Iti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha.
Yeah.
I've done this for my
Wow.
presentation.
Good, 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 good. That's very nice.
Yeah.
So we
So
have,
it's the same thing, right?
yeah, it's the same, similar. Yeah, the meaning is quite similar.
So I'll write all the properties of Shitadhar Muni here. Don't worry. Next.
Okay. Next is explain the analogy of the boat on water. Can you say that one? You remember? Kripa Mataji, Siddha Mataji. Boat on water analogy, what is that? Question
Is
14.
it something to do with the water getting inside the boat? Is that the
No,
one?
no, it's not that one. It says in this verse 2.67 that just as how senses which are not engaged in the service of the Lord.
Is that the one where we say that the strong wind can
Wind.
sweep
Yeah, it
the
says,
boat in the water when the winds are strong?
yes, yes,
So
just because of wind.
something like that.
Yeah,
And
yes,
if our senses are not controlled, then it will carry away our mind. Is
yes,
it something related?
yes, it is. So just as senses which are not engaged service of the Lord can easily be deviated, similarly, a strong wind will easily sweep away a boat on the water. Huh? ഇവിടെ offer it, cover it. And then the answer 15 is, question 15 is explain analogy of rivers entering into the ocean. You remember that, Kripa Mataji or Siddha Mataji? Rivers and ocean analogy?
Mataji told, I think is it about some desires that you are not like the river enters into the ocean,
Yeah.
and but the ocean always is filled and is satiated. Likewise, we should not be, I think, overwhelmed with the desires, constant flow, something like that.
Yeah. So correct. That's the answer. So in
All
2.
rivers end into the ocean, actually.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
rivers enter into the ocean. That's the
Yes.
one, right?
Yes. So it says in 2.770 analogy of rivers entering into the ocean compares incessant flow of desires is compared to the rivers which flow into the ocean. A devotee is like the ocean. He is not even slightly disturbed by the desires for sense gratification, although so many desires may, in fact, it will come to him just like waters of rivers, still he will be not even slightly disturbed, just like the ocean.
Exactly, and Mataji gave one more example of, I think, corals and seashells and and the pearls, that a devotee would not be bewildered, but he would be more happy to search for the pearls and all that. That is, he would like to be more Krishna consciousness and more engaged in devotional service
Right.
because he would be searching for perils. Perils means would be searching for devotional service. I think that she added to this.
Okay, okay. Then question 16 is how can you apply the basic principle of real peace to help to address obstacles you may be facing? So this is again a personal answer actually, question 16. Understanding that Krishna consciousness is about having transcendental knowledge based on self-realization and knowing that every living entity is a part and parcel of Krishna. It leads to real life. And so when I see any obstacle or when I feel any, enmity for someone, and then I immediately remember these principles, and then I feel that I'm more peaceful and Krishna conscious. You can elaborate any incident.
And we can also say that it helps us to forgive people, because we are not in a steady state of mind, so we get agitated. But so if we just don't react at that moment, but we stay calm, then we will realize that since Paramatma is in everyone, and we can just let go the moment, right?
Right, right.
It calms us down.
Correct, correct. You can say that also. Then the last two questions, the last one is second last is what is nirvana in its correct perspective with reference to 2.72. So nirvana is basically ending the process of materialistic life by surrendering unto Krishna. I've written only this much. Then the last answer is explain how this is a long actually one. Explain how the second chapter summarizes the contents of entire Gita and give reference to relevant verses. So I have written that the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it discusses Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and also a little of Bhakti Yoga, and which is actually basically the entire contents of Bhagavad Gita broadly. So verses 2.11 to 2.30 are Jnana Yoga. They give a detailed description of the soul and its real identity. Verses 2.31 to 53 talk about more about Jnana Yoga along with Buddhi Yoga, Sankhya Yoga, and duty to one's body, duties to oneself. And so it covers some Karma Yoga. And 2.54 to 2.72 talks about sustained happiness, real peace, and Krishna consciousness. So it touches a little about Bhakti Yoga. So that is how all the contents of the whole Gita is covered in chapter 2. Aspects of Karma Yoga is also mentioned in terms of the Karma Kandi and rising above to Akarma in the verses, within those verse numbers. That's it. That is the whole chapter 2 done.
Thank you, Mataji. I'll remember this and I'll try to replicate it in exam. Because this is the last chapter I'll be studying.
I have a lot to do.
These are really long answers, so my handwriting is very dirty. So if I'm going to take pictures and say, I don't know whether you understand anything. You can listen to the recording maybe for revision.
No, Mataji, send the notes.
Your
also so we
handwriting
can
is
go
very
through the
nice,
record
and you're just
write.
underestimating yourself. Even
No,
Kripa
yeah, now
Mataji's
in
handwriting
chapter
is.
2, chapter 2 towards the ending, I've been like really scribbling because I wanted to finish it. They were so long.
But see, Mataji, you are used to writing. I'm used to typing. I don't even know how am I going to write. I'm just not used to writing. And on top of it, I have a pain in my
Small
foot.
answers, Mataji.
And
We have
I
to
have
be
got
thankful.
so much.
Yes.
Small answer.
Yeah, small answers are enough actually. And because we've been discussing so much, I think the main points itself, if you're able to bring it out, we'll get a decent score. And it's not about who is highest and the high marks. No. If we just get through and just have the basic understanding, if Mataji is satisfied, it will be good.
And actually, my point was like, how much are we trying to actually implement in our life? Because that is a constant question my parents ask me. That are you able to implement it? Are you able to control your agitation? Are you able
Very
to do
difficult. In
something?
real life, it is very difficult to implement. I keep feeling that, I have so many classes I attend, so much I read, almost whole day, and I'm doing something or the other. But when it comes to real life, it's not easy. Although at work, my friends tell me that you're so calm. And I wonder, okay, then I say, okay, maybe because I'm reading so much of Gita. But at home, my husband doesn't agree at all. He says, what is the point of your reading the Gita?
How's he?
Huh?
How's he?
He is not well, yeah, Shraddha Mataji is not well.
So
And
do
then
you have
I
a
lose
nurse
my
or
temper.
some?
Hmm?
Do you have a nurse? Do you have a nurse?
Not yet. I don't have any nurse now, so it's very
So you're
difficult.
managing?
Yeah, he is managing. I am just doing what I can. It's difficult for him, actually, very difficult.
Mataji, I'm sorry, but I heard that your husband was unwell. So, I don't know what exactly is, because I heard Shridha Mataji asking. So is his health getting better? I mean,
He stopped recording.